Board of Selectmen meeting to order, the first one of the year. Thursday, January 5th, 2023. Gentlemen, Happy New Year, welcome back. And to the public, who's here, welcome, and Happy New Year to you. All right, gentlemen, we have some minutes from last 2 weeks of December.
I'll make a motion to approve the December 29th, 2022 meeting minutes as amended.
I'll second that. Any discussion on that, gentlemen? All in favor?
Aye. I make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of December 22nd, 2022.
I'll second that. Any further discussion on those minutes? And I just wanna make a comment, Jennifer has continued to do a great job for us, make sure that she knows that we send her through those. All in favor of those minutes, January 22nd?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna open up for public comment, I'll start with the back row. Good evening. You're on the agenda, sir, and you're for the public hearing, okay, thank you. Lean, what, do we have a time posted for that, or do we not post
No,
it?
first, that one was just noticing the abutters, general, public hearing,
Okay,
as recommended by the town attorney,
right.
so.
Okay, yeah, paperwork's in here,
We actually, he brought the piece,
okay.
Wait, I don't have any paperwork though.
oh,
But I have
you don't have to sign it or anything, do you?
Say it.
You
No,
can
no,
just-
no, all I brought was,
The
the
map.
map.
Okay, well, the thing is, we talked about, this is, motion, this is number one, gentlemen. The Dunbarton Conservation Commission acquired a piece of, property, and, we're having this as a public hearing because of, a recommendation from council.
Technically, we haven't acquired it yet.
But soon, closing is coming up.
Yeah, we, won the auction to, at the
Exactly.
closing, we would then acquire it.
Was there any, additional fees for the auction annually?
I don't know what the closing costs will be, but my assumption is that all the auctioneer's fees and all that were in the price that we ended up paying, because, that's why the bank set the.
I know a lot of times when I've gone, they've required like a $5,000, $10,000 security check, and then
We gave them a $5,000 check.
when you bid, they actually tack a 10% or 5% on top of it.
Yeah, I don't think I saw anything on the paperwork.
Sometimes it's included in the price.
Yeah, I think my expectation was it was included in the price. I'm assuming we're probably gonna have to pay something, closing
Fees.
costs.
And it
And
closes
this is
around
the
4,
one,
but
this is
yeah.
their paperwork.
Okay. All right, Dave, you wanna start with the motion? Well, further, I'll open it up to the public, any other comments or questions about this, piece of conservation land that's gonna be soon will be acquired and firmed up at closing, within the next, 45 days?
Yeah, it's by January 23rd. It has to be.
So it's right around the corner.
I know we already did this in a previous meeting, but just for the public meeting, would you tell them where it's located?
Yeah, it's, abuts the Kimball Pond Conservation Area on the west, and it's,
Get the back here.
yeah, it's
C50106.
C50106, 28 acres.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's essentially in between, town-owned land that's part of the Kimball Pond Conservation Area, and then, Dunbarton Town Forest land too, so.
Great. Okay, I'll make a motion, for the Board of Selectmen, for the Conservation Commission to authorize them to purchase lot C5-01-06, 28 acres plus or minus, abutting the Kimball Pond Conservation Area on behalf of the town. This was done at a public foreclosure sale, on 12/22/2022. And the, awarded bid was $66,000.
I'll
And that
second.
was accepted on behalf of the Dunbarton Conservation Commission.
I'll second that. Any further, comments or questions from the public?
have a question about the closing, and maybe you've talked to the attorney, he's gonna take care of the arranging it with their lawyer and so forth for
Yep.
us. And I think, is it one selectman that signs for, that has to go for us, or?
I don't know that answer yet.
Okay.
He said that he would keep me in the loop and keep you informed.
Yeah, okay, I just wasn't sure, but I think in the past,
Where's the location for closing will be?
well, I told him would like it to be up here at the town offices. He was saying, you know, maybe his office is in Manchester, but I think we ought to make him come up here and do it. That's my, you know.
Is that our attorney?
Yeah.
I know where their offices have delivered things many times, if you,
Well, I know where they are, but I mean, just to make it more convenient, I don't know, again, how many, my sense is only one selectman would need to sign for the town, but, or, I don't know.
I'll confirm that.
You can just find, anyway, that's like the only wrinkle that I don't know, you know?
And we'll make sure that at least one is available for you. Well, as if it's required, only one.
Yeah,
Whatever's needed, we'll
Yeah.
make sure of that.
yeah, because it's really, it's the board of selectmen that has the authority on behalf of the town, I don't really have any authority.
Understood.
Yeah. And I'm gonna be gone beginning the 20th of January, so I'll let the attorney know that and try to get it
Okay,
scheduled.
just make sure Lean's on the distribution of the messages.
Yes,
Okay.
I've already spoken to
Yeah,
Sean personally, and he said, I just got a phone with Brett, and he said, I'm telling you exactly what I told him, so that I'll be kept in the loop, so.
Okay, great.
Yeah, okay, anyway, I just wanted to make sure that that
Just,
was clear.
we don't
Yeah.
want shortfalls at the last minute.
Yeah, cause I think there's a $500 fee if the closing gets delayed past the 23rd, so that's.
Why waste money?
Yeah,
We don't have to.
exactly, yeah.
It looks like, closing has to be on or before the January 23rd, so.
Yeah.
And it doesn't see any other fees on there, so.
Right, yeah, but there is a fee if the closing gets pushed back.
Understood.
Yeah.
We'll work to,
Yeah, okay, anyway.
thank you for coming in tonight.
Oh, yeah, hey, thank you. All right, see you later.
All right, have a good one.
Yeah.
Sir, come on up, don't be a stranger. We're gonna make some runs today.
Yes.
Outstanding. All right, we have, let's talk about, we're gonna be talking about the bids that we delivered the first and last,
Jay, it's the big sheet like this,
Big folder one.
yep, fold it in half. Just on the metal folder there. And, Woody and I met today to go over what you were asking to try to implement on it, so I hope, and I think we got it right, but I hope we got it right. A lot of information that you were trying to get.
okay. All right, you saw this information, you worked with Lean,
Yes.
I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Right.
What is your recommendation?
Well, my personal recommendation is that we would go with wind waste, which we already belong to the co-op. And that is who the co-op, organization is sending their trash through. Their price is $85 a ton. And it goes up $5 a year for the next 7 years. It is a 7-year contract.
Who else is doing that, Woody?
I mean, who's else? There's numerous towns in the co-op, I think there's 18 towns or 16 towns, cause some towns have left the co-op. We are actually one of the towns who stepped out of the co-op as far as the trash side is concerned. And we went out on our own, that was with, previous boards of selectmen. The numbers at the time, we were able to do basically better on our own than we were through them. Times have changed. And after the last meeting, I reached out to the director and asked them, hey, what's your numbers? They weren't guaranteed that we could even get in, because they can only take so much material. And that would be going to the burn plant in Pennacook, or Concord, that's at 17. We'd go to the burn plant there.
Now, if we did that,
Our
we're
truck
trying to
is,
jump ahead of ourselves.
Yep.
You'd be doing the trucking,
yes,
And our only alternative trucking at that point would be Sizemore, which was substantially higher than the other trucking.
No, actually, when I talked to, and I could confirm it with Martin again, but when I asked her before, if they didn't get the whole contract, if they would do any, one piece of that, and she said they would do whatever.
Yeah, but I was thinking that was if they got the C and D but didn't get the MSW. But
Oh,
if
they
they
seem
didn't get
pretty-
either of those, if they still wanted the truck.
Seemed to be pretty flexible either way.
Yeah, they did seem flexible.
There's an email with 3 emails stapled, one is,
So in your packet,
Sizemore,
there should be,
the other one is Norton, and the other one is the price, discussing
Is he-
invoice.
he had an email with Norton that says that.
You have it in your packet.
That was last week's email.
That was from December 30th after.
That was the day after the
our
meeting.
last meeting.
And you asked Woody to check with them.
You've had him check it, that was after our last meeting, after we had asked him to send that to him. This was December 30th of 11/23 was the email.
All right, summarize what the email said.
Well, he asked numerous questions, so, Woody's questions, he says, can you haul a 24-foot, 50-yard open top dumpster? She wrote back, yes. Can you haul 22-foot, 40-foot, 45-yard closed top dumpsters? Yes. If you didn't get the new contract, could the town hire you to be a backup hauler? Yes. If so, what would your rates be? Or is it the same rates that you bid? Depends on where we are hauling it to, 300 or 325. Can the town haul into your facility without a contract while they make a decision on a new contract? If so, what is your pricing? She says yes, $130 per ton.
They were a very flexible company to get Anthony back ready, I will say that.
Yes.
The only thing that we've left out here is they had that original statement in there before. But what we don't say here is if you didn't get either of the contracts, if you would still do it.
And they obviously said they would accept it. And the thing is, my question I asked Woody this week is, let's say our truck breaks down, and it's a Saturday, and well, we need someone to come pick up our trash so we don't get stuck on a Saturday. Can they come here, pick up the dumpster and take it over to Pennacook? And the answer was,
My understanding is yes.
yes. And in worst case scenario, if they can't take it to Pennacook, they could take it to their location and process it for just maybe a little bit more as an emergency backup.
Yeah, might be a sticky situation where you're under a contract, but, she seemed, I actually talked to her today, she seemed very flexible, very easy company to work with.
See, what I liked is the fact that, we're creating who can predict if our truck goes down, drivers go down. We now have a backup driver, thanks to Woody, working with that, but the thing is, the other long pole in the tent is that if the truck breaks down, what do we have for it to haul trash? And Don will help us out if we have to, that's my understanding.
I guess mine as well.
Okay.
I did wanna see Waste Management's total down here, just so I knew how they look compared to everybody else, but I do wanna point out, the company we had previously used, Home Recycling, is cheaper on all 3 of the years than any of the 3 companies that did full service with their package. As I think Justin pointed out last week, or Mike, that, the number of trips on MSW versus the C and D trips, even though C and D might be higher for one company, it still averages that Bow Recycling is cheaper overall than any other company here.
For MSW.
No, go right to your bottom.
And actually,
This is what I really want them to do.
Yeah.
If you look at all the way across each of these years,
Right.
it's cheaper than this company or this company.
Gotcha.
Never mind, Wind Waste, cause that's us doing everything.
and if you look at this graph, these numbers are actually wrong on Norton's. If you look at the top on C and D, the ones in orange, if you times 130 price per ton by average 150 tons, it's actually 19.5, not 15.6. That's on this number here.
Did we change the tonnage or something?
That's been like that was like that on the last one. I saw that when I was reviewing the paperwork again.
And so we just went through what the,
Yeah, so,
Thank you.
so this, number right here is actually wrong, so this number total is probably wrong.
So it's much higher,
So it's actually, yeah, it's like
$4,000.
$3,900 more,
That's
For these, yeah.
Yeah,
so.
See, brought that, like it. Looked at every square box in here, except for that top section.
We went over this frontwards and backwards, so.
Yeah, and I had-
I noticed that earlier tonight, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm like, 150 times 130, that's nowhere near.
And what I did do, you can see on the graph, not that it makes a whole big difference, I did drop down the tonnage on the MSW side, not that that's really relevant, but I did on that. Everybody, I dropped the tonnage down on that.
150 times 130.
What to 150, what was it before?
No, I dropped it
First year
from,
is 16,600, 15,600.
900 to 875.
130 is it?
Yeah,
Holy
130
shit,
times
hold on here.
150 tons.
it's,
Lee, can we turn that down a couple degrees? It is some hot here.
It was.
That's all right, it's all going out that window, I was
For
sitting
some
there.
man.
Like, ooh, it's cold right here.
Got it.
Off flash.
all right, so,
So that'll just change that number at the bottom, I'm assuming,
Yeah, $3,900.
so you know, it makes that difference even more, like you're stating, about recycling, even less if you add them all.
So looking at the full service companies, Bow Recycling still is the best company to have stayed with.
Right,
Looking at full service companies.
it to do everything.
Yeah.
But I think if you break it out the other way, it's not.
The only thing I'm worried about breaking it out is that we're gonna, be back where if Wind Waste does something, we're stuck with companies that may not wanna deal with this.
well, how Wind Waste has been doing this for mutual years.
Yes. And
At one time, it wasn't beneficial to the town from what Woody.
right, but now it is, I mean, now the numbers, their increases, looking out, projecting out over the next 7 years, the contract is $5 a year increase. That's their contracted,
But they don't give us a contract like that, we're yearly with them, or how is our contract?
no, we're a 7-year contract with them, it's 7 years. Yep.
And so they allowed us to go in, and you have the paperwork to that effect now.
The paperwork's being drawn, yep.
So if worst case is worse,
Cause when I spoke with, Jim Pressure, the director, I spoke with him today, he said the co-op has to rewrite their contract with Wind Waste, which is, in case anybody remembers, it used to be called Wheelabrator. It's the same place, they got bought out. They have to rewrite their contract, because when they wrote the contract, it was X amount of towns, X amount of tonnage. So now, we could step in, they gotta rewrite the contract and change the tonnage amount and add one more town to it.
and one nice thing here is your trips are basically the same cost for you as if you were doing the Bow Recycling trips.
It's a little bit.
So what we did on that, it was real tough to try and figure. I mean, we took in, basically, went off the
As long
internet,
as you did it equal across the board.
right across the board.
And then you change your mileage, it looks like it worked out.
You know, we changed the mileage, we changed this, we changed that. And the other thing I thought about, so, on the C and D part of it, cause that's, to me, that's really the big issue. Because that's the one that's the most expensive right now. You know, when you look
Per
at
ton.
it, per ton, that's, demo is the big one, that's the largest increase. And I did 12.
So Wind Waste doesn't have a C and D.
No, they are only MSW. We
Okay,
did-
so that being said.
Waste management is wrong as well, in the top graph, if we're gonna still look at that. You're still worried about the numbers comparing them.
Yep.
How
You're
about
still
Bow
looking-
Recycling, why don't you check those numbers for us, since you're on it? Do you have a calculator over there?
I do.
Not my phone. But I'm just doing 150 times 120 is not 14.4.
18.
So now when you look at C and D, it looks like, to me,
Just seeing the,
Yeah, but see, they separated out C&D, so now you gotta go up here and look.
Right, it's almost a wash across all three candidates.
No, you're in the 21s here.
No.
That one's right, C&D.
10 halls, 32, 33,000, and 3,000.
That's for special halls.
This one's 18.
325, special halls 325, 3, then it's 21, 14 versus 15.
Yeah, what you wanna do is look at this.
This number.
This and this, yeah.
So this one's completely off the scale. These two are competitive.
Yeah, if this is the case, we're looking at this, if he wants to go to Windwater for the MSW, we should be looking at Naughton, I think, for the.
C&D.
Naughton number was wrong, it was 19.
Well, we have to add 19.5 to the bottom number.
Well, let's redo the numbers right now.
Yeah.
Stay right up underneath your yellower colors there, instead of 15.6, it's
19.5.
19.5.
Got it.
Year two is
19.5.
the same, 19.5. And year three is 22.5.
22.5. Okay, so
If you add
put a line through the
those-
rest.
To the bottom of Windwater.
Now, Waste Management, they didn't wanna do either or, they wanted both or
They
none,
wanted both or none.
right?
Yeah,
Oh,
they
no,
wanted
they
a
wanted
hall.
everything.
They wanted a hall too.
Okay, so now let's look at Bo's numbers.
It's
Bo's
very
are
close.
just slightly above.
Yeah.
Are the numbers right in Bo?
Yes, they are. I just checked them. The one thing that I think in Naughton, we have to include the round trip, 12,242 onto Windwater as well, cause that's not included in here. See what I'm saying?
No,
Waste management, MSW is wrong for the total too. So it's 70,000, not 72,000, if you times 80 by 875.
What's your number be?
Oh, you know what, we
70,000.
changed it, it was 900.
That's right.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to make sure we have an
No.
accurate representation if we're gonna talk about
Yeah.
potentially doing everything here.
Equals 70,000, right, is that what you have?
Yeah,
but that doesn't matter, cause Waste Management's out.
is that what we're deciding?
Well, it's,
I won't bother doing any more.
I don't think do any more math, because they want both, and it looks like, you know, if Windways wasn't that far different, I would stick with all one company, but it's too far different.
I mean, comparing the MSW to,
Yeah,
say.
that's what I
Right.
but-
So now
We were
what I
talking
wanna
about
do
the
is,
hallway.
now what are you talking about on the hauling on MSW, Lee?
And you know how we would asked him to calculate his hours, the fuel, the equipment maintenance, which is 12,242 under that Naughton recycling? If we're doing just the C&D, we have to still add, oh, that's right, 114, how many halls will we do, 10?
Well, you look, the halls are up above, right underneath
Yeah.
C&D.
So it'd be
3,000,
3,000,
32.50.
yeah.
So they're still
3,000,
cheaper on that too.
and then 3,250, and then 3,250.
Yeah, so they're cheaper on that than Bow Recycling is.
Right.
Now, Naughton, if they're not hauling it, it is much more expensive for you to go. That's the only other thing. There's only 10 hauls. What's this 12,000 down the bottom include? Woody?
For, under Norton's, it includes,
Is it just C&D or is it MS?
no, that's both.
Okay.
So what we did is we totaled the whole, cause you said you wanted the whole line totaled, so that's what we did, we totaled the whole line.
So,
So you would actually, your fuel's gonna drop. And this is all, you know, it's all as of right now. I mean, we don't know what
well,
fuel's
would you be
gonna do.
hauling the C&D is what I'm trying to get at?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so their price, if they haul it, is cheaper than anybody else, from what I'm seeing. But if you haul it, the C&D for the year,
Right,
where's that number?
It's just the 10 halls of about 3,000.
No, Naughton's price is 3,000, what's Woody's price?
I did the
Hold on,
change the
hold on.
fuel trips from 114 to 10. I mean,
Right, I'm with you.
cause all we based it on was the addition of both, did 114, which was 104 plus the 10.
Okay, drop it down to 10 from 114.
If I did
So
114.
he's only using 9 gallons, 90 gallons.
9 gallons.
So
We use,
42,
I used,
68, divided by 100.
9 gallons per trip times by 10 trips.
right, be 90 gallons.
3740 times 10. But that's not wear and tear, but that's,
On 43 miles, you're gonna make it with 9 gallons,
5 miles a gallon.
one way.
10.
No, that's round trip.
It's only 43 round trip.
Yeah, it's only 20,
76 minutes.
let's see here. Yeah, it's 43 round trip, so it was 21 something miles. I mean, we took this off the internet,
Yeah, that's
and
fine.
so everybody's was off the
You did
internet.
roll off the same.
Yeah, it was 21 something, 21.8 or
That'd be like
21 something.
374 for
Okay.
a year for the, just
20,
CD,
yeah, 21 something.
for the first year.
So basically, it's over on the right-hand side.
So 374.40. C&D.
So irregardless, it's gonna cost you a little bit more to travel to Norton than to low recycling.
Yes.
But you're saving your fuel cost right in the difference in the price, right off. 19.5 versus 21.750.
I think we are, you know, those are, even if you compared those two and left the two of them equal, you know, say they're equal, where your savings is gonna be is on your MSW side.
Yeah, but you guys gotta remember too, Bow Recycling said they were gonna adjust that price if they didn't get both contracts.
He won't, yeah.
So Bow Recycling, if they don't get both of them, then they're not gonna take just one.
Yeah,
That's basically the notion that you had kinda suggested at the last meeting, so.
yeah, that's what he had told me. He said that, and actually, he did confirm that when I talked to him Saturday night, that,
Cause his original price was what, 160 or something, so.
yes.
So I think, I would assume that if we did come back to him asking him just to take the C&D, he's gonna go up to, back to that 160 or his original price, so we're, you know, we're kinda comparing things that really honestly don't matter, bro, but.
Alright, I'll make a motion, see if you guys follow it.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna make a motion that we use Wind Waste at 11 Whitney Road, Concord, New Hampshire for the MSW. With a 2023 starting rate of $85, going up $5 a year for the next 7 years. And we'll be hauling to that facility, it's fairly close, Concord, New Hampshire. And then, the second part of this motion is to use Norton Recycling, 24 Jones Road, Bradford, New Hampshire for the C&D. And the 2023 rate at 130 tons being 19.5. Staying at $130 per ton in 2024, and 2025 going to $150 a ton. And the special hauling for each year will be 300, 325, and 325. And that will complete the motion.
I'll second that motion, it's ready. We'll open up for discussion.
Okay. In part of the discussion, looking at wind waste, as Woody has pointed out, it's substantially lower. I mean, we're saving,
More than enough to pay for the diesel.
we're saving $45,000 a year going from the cheapest company to Wind Waste. And then Norton Recycling has been very flexible for their hauling and also for their C&D, and they would take any part of our contract, and I think that that flexibility will go a long way with the town in future years.
And I also like the fact that they can be backup transportation for hauling if we need that.
Yeah, and it's nice we have a backup driver, but in the case that the truck goes down and they can haul,
And looking at this,
seems like they'll be a lot more flexible than other companies.
and looking at this, I can expect a $45,000 deduction in the budget for the transfer station.
Let me, change my budget, then.
I think this was accounted to that.
All right, right, motion's on the table, any further discussion on this? Woody, you wanna, I'm gonna open up for you if you have any comments? Will you be happy with this?
I'm happy, I think our job is to do the best that we can for the taxpayers, and this seems to be the best alternative.
Well, I have to say, you did a lot of yeoman's work in the sense that when you first brought it up,
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, Bull Recycling kinda dragged their feet and get new quotes, then they throw a quote at them, it was like off their scales. And so you did a lot of work in the last 2 months to get this put
I
together.
think we should have a little credit, cause she's been 2 days with me on this, 2 different days, going back and forth, so.
Yeah, well, both you guys did a lot, and, Lean's done a lot crunching these numbers. It's easy for us to look at one number, 2 numbers and see they're off, but when you're trying to crunch all these numbers,
It's a
sometimes,
huge variance.
and then you change the tonnage, it does get a little bit mixed up, and it's easy for us to pinpoint one number, but when you're looking at it all on the face value, it's.
Then I would like to have, we just don't wanna notify those people who did not receive the bid, give them a courtesy email.
Yeah.
Okay, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think if you guys can sit down and draft up the email, so it sounds nice coming from the town.
Yep.
Appreciate your bids, we've decided to go with this company for such and such, reasons, for the benefit of the town, and we'll be looking forward to receiving bids from you in the future years.
Yeah, because the thing is, this could change in 3 years from now.
Yeah, and the nice thing is, we get 7 years with the wind waste, C&D in 3 years we'll look at again.
Yeah, you don't know what's gonna happen, it could drop in 3 years, you don't know.
Right.
But I think that this does the best for the town, and, none really stepped up, every time we call them, they said, we will do whatever you want us to do, which, that's nice to see.
Yeah, she seemed pretty responsive to your emails, cause, again, our meeting was Thursday night, and she had already responded to you by 11 o'clock.
And just for
Friday morning,
the
so.
record, just share what happened today, what you did today. You were able to bring
I
without a
ran
contract
2 loads up,
to not,
to Norton today.
without a contract.
Without a contract, and our price was the 130. And she made sure it was in the computer at that, because if you come in off the street, it's 250.
I think that's very flexible.
That's good.
And that way, Woody was,
It's a good
had his back
company,
against the
yeah.
wall, because, he didn't wanna come into Saturday with only one open container.
Well, what had happened was, I didn't know how quick things were gonna come apart, happen. And after talking to Jim today, he's like, it may not happen till next week. I was kinda anticipating that it wouldn't be it'd be just a boom, boom, and we're ready to go, cause the truck already has a transponder on it. It already has the ID tag on it from before. I figured it'd be just a matter of, we're good to go. He said, there's gonna be a little paperwork, it could take, a couple of days. They're working as fast as they can to get it going. And so, that's kinda against the wall. I figured we're gonna have some time, because the plant in Pennacook, or Concord, whatever you wanna call it, is open on Saturdays. They're open to.
That gives you some flexibility.
Yeah, they're either open till like noon time on Saturday. I think they open at 6 in the morning. So it gives you, you could've shot a load up there, it would've been good. That's kinda what I was hoping for, but after talking to Jim, I'm like, wasn't gonna be that quick, so.
And Norton was able to just, the flexibility,
Yeah.
again, show the flexibility here and help us out.
I called her and she's like, yeah, no problem. I said, you bill us, absolutely.
Okay.
So,
All right, motion's on the table, gentlemen, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for everyone for the diligence and hard work here.
One thing to back up on some things we said earlier. When it comes time to replacing your truck when it's getting to an age, I think it would be beneficial to town to hire out the hauling to these companies. As we've looked at the numbers, they're pretty reasonable. Compared to buying a new truck, maintaining that truck, we just put 19,000 in the truck a couple of years back, and some more maintenance last year, so if we'll go to, at some point, when you think the truck is getting to a point where it's not as roadworthy, we'll switch over to all the hauling and keep that in the yard, boil it up and keep it for another 10 or 15 years.
We're just moving boxes.
In the yard.
And then, you can share that with Norton, I have no problem.
So, yeah,
Let them know that, thing is, we have a finite number of years left on our truck. And we don't, at this point, we would say we don't plan on
we
replacing.
keep real good care of it, it could go easily 10 more
Yeah,
years.
but we can't assume anything.
20 is
and
questionable.
I think when that time comes, you're really gonna wanna, sit down and look at all your numbers across, because that's what we did the first time. We looked at all the numbers across the board, and it was cheaper, back then. I know things have changed since then. It was cheaper back then to buy it for, we paid $125,000 for it. And trucking, I think at that time was gonna be 26,000, and then it was gonna escalate every year up from that. So we just took the numbers and we lease purchased the truck. Yeah, I believe we did, or we might have paid it all outright.
Paid that one out.
We might have paid it outright. And then we projected out that 6 years, basically, the truck it was paid for in 5, but 6 years, so you could take your maintenance in, and after 6 years, I mean, that truck is 20 years old right now. And the truck has basically been paid for 14 years, other than maintenance,
That's a win-win.
14 years.
Okay, don't go away, you're up next.
Yeah, they're up, at least you're all sitting down.
Well, I couldn't have gone over the $45,000 savings.
I think
No,
that's
it didn't.
one way to start it off, right?
No, I didn't.
All right, now we're gonna talk about change gears.
What are we doing, Salvation Army,
No, we're gonna start with Woody's budget.
It is first.
solid waste?
You got it. Transfer station.
So, everybody got their papers?
Solid waste, correct. I got it.
So I also, worked with Lee a little bit on this, a lot of it I was able to do on my own. I did have a couple stumbling blocks.
Do you guys wanna come back next week?
No, I had a couple, that's why I had to come see.
I'm looking at the numbers here.
So, so the first one, obviously the full-time pay, that was, takes in the potential 4% raise and the other raises that happened this year. Under the part-time line, I know that's hard to swallow right there. And if you look back this past year, yes, we only, so far expended payroll's done, so 72,000. However, most people recall, we were only staffed with basically 3 of us all for the majority of the year. So that's why that line didn't get spent down like it would have.
So instead of going back to 100, you think you'd take the 121 because of the increase in pay?
Do you wanna look at
All the
the other page?
calculations are on the next
Page
page.
attached?
Okay.
We calculated out hours, and then the pay, and then there actually is a one employee that will step into a increase this year. Halfway through the year. So that's why, that's up, I mean, help is help is help.
Okay, self-explanatory, go ahead.
And so, under my overtime, I know we always struggle with this, at least I do. So basically what we did is we looked at what was spent over the year, calculated the hours. Basically, we looked at it, the hours last year were this basic 9 hours within that time frame, and put the new pay rate to it. There's a pay rate goes up considerable if you look to the left side.
I think that that's a no-brainer with the employee movement that you have in that department, you never know.
That's what I said to him.
And I thought your overtime line was, this whole week, 2022, thank you for keeping it reasonable.
That was
Drive.
updated today, we ran a report, he and I,
I thought the overtime
those
line was more
actuals
than
are
adequate.
through today.
Equipment rental, we just put $1 in there to hold that space. Training, I dropped that down, figured out the number of guys, the training, and I do wanna, we're gonna have them AED certified. We have an AED on site, and the plan is to get all my guys certified first aid, CPR, so there'll be a little cost there. Subcontractor services, what I did is I took, in case we don't have a driver for the truck, that will be your backup haul. I figured 12 loads, and at the $300 a haul, I figured, so that takes care of that line. On your supply line, I left it the same. I am gonna have to buy Bandon again this year. Not sure exactly, I've been trying to get hold of the company to find out the price, but, so I just used the same number as last year. My maintenance line, we do have, I know we just did a bunch, we're gonna have some more. I've already started in, I did jump it up $300, cause I've already spent $300 in the last few days. Just on, we had an incident with the skid steer. Luckily, we caught it for whatever reason, and it didn't catch fire, but it did have an electrical fire. So, that's what the gremlin we're fighting with right now. Department equipment, I left that the same. The phone is,
Why did it go up so much this past year, department equipment?
we had extra money, we had some money, so I bought some extra stuff this year.
Okay,
No plows and stuff.
gotcha, okay.
Snow blowers,
Yes, yeah, and I have that.
Okay, great.
The phone, I checked with the phone company, it's gonna go up a little bit, so that was my increase there. It's like $50, I think he said this year or something, it was a small amount. Uniforms, there's an increase there, but once again, you gotta remember, we didn't have everybody in uniforms. The new uniform contract, so, and that also, that line takes in your boots. With the boot allowance, that's in there as well.
Okay.
That same line. The mobile phone, I left that the same. Fuel cost, I spent $62.60, is what it looks like. When I originally did it, I knew I was gonna be over the 56, I went to 6,000. I don't know, I mean, 66, I don't know what fuel's gonna do, nobody does.
I think, that's good, that's good.
That covers both gas and diesel for
Yep,
this department.
that's
He
great.
includes the two.
Okay.
That's all the equipment on site, that's everything. Ash lab and testing, I did not expend it. I really didn't burn a lot this year in the pit, because we're hauling across the street to dirt doctors. So I didn't see the need to test it again where it just got tested. The pit's empty right now, there's no ash in it. In case we do burn again, I'll have to get it tested again, so I just left that number there. Fees and services, that's a line holder. On the MSW, the price goes up, but my dollar amount went down because I changed the tonnage. We delivered, basically 810 tons. I budgeted for 875, originally it was gonna be 900. But then looking back, and I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, I know we have a bunch of new houses coming. The other thing that happens, when the economy starts to switch around, a lot of people, the first thing that they go is, I'll get rid of my trash service and I'll stop bringing it down there. Regardless of how it comes out, the town has to pay that bill.
Or they have more time to bring the stuff, do one of the two.
Exactly, so it might be a little high, but I'll rather err on the side of caution than to come and try and scrounge money from
You
someplace.
still cut it a little bit, which is all right.
Yeah, this is actually what he was projecting that you would vote on.
Yeah.
How'd you get the numbers wrong on your chart, get them perfect on this?
The amount of numbers we were looking at, I'm telling you.
The wind waste was correct. That was the last one you
The
said.
wind waste is correct, and so is this one, I paid from the nine. It's perfect on his budget.
It is.
Tell me just a lucky guess, I'm doing smart or what?
Okay.
So the C and D, that is, let me just get my notes here, so it's on the
He's
right
not
here.
ready to cut his budget, good.
150 tons.
Yeah, it's 150, oh, here it is, it's 150 tons at 130 a ton. However, if you look at what we paid last year, which was 85.10, now it's going, going to 130, that's $44.90 a ton increase. Nothing we can do about that, that's,
And wind waste doesn't have a
they don't do C and D. Their, specialty is their burn plant.
That stuff would burn perfect.
Yeah, there's rules with that. There's rules.
Will your rules change with wind waste as far as what you can put in the, for a hopper?
We will do, the rules are pretty much the same across the board, because a lot of that's governed by DES.
Okay.
So what we put in the hopper is what will go to them, will go to everyone. So that's the major increase right there, and I looked at it, and we did 140 tons this year of demo, so going a little extra, that's basically one dumpster extra. That's kinda how I like to run it, you don't know what's gonna happen, you know?
I have no problem with this budget, when you're looking at it, there's, 10,000 is the C and D that we've been talking about, and 20 of it's your labor, which we knew of what the increases in labor and your increased manpower anyway.
And the last two, just so they don't get forgotten, I tried to drop the hazardous waste collection down, cause some of that's not gonna change, but in trying to get a number with Bo, they're looking at that hazardous waste, they will go up. They don't have any official contract number, so to be on the safe side, I dropped it, but I kinda left it at 11,000. And then the NRA, our dues with them went up because of the way they do their calculations, and they haven't really had an increase.
Is it a mistake what we paid for dues this year, from 26?
Yeah, something's not right there.
See that, Lean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I give them their reports, well, my office does every week, and his in particular.
Well, I think it's, what you're proposing for 2023 is,
I was gonna say, so maybe that number will change a little bit,
yeah,
requested.
No,
Or is
no.
there-
No, that's,
Probably
If
not.
the requested's right, it's
It's a
just the
posting
actual.
error.
yeah, okay. Gentlemen, I have no problem with the proposal. Any last questions for,
No, great job. And the department's been running real smooth, I appreciate all of your emails and time to keep us all abreast of it. You have the largest amount of employees that we kind of oversee or help you oversee, so.
right.
Can I,
Other than
can I
police
make a
department.
comment?
please?
I saw one of the former, employees that was working there under the lower scale, and he happened to stop in to get rid of his trash and said that he's speaking to somebody, and they had mentioned the rates went up, and he said he was very glad that the town did that for them. You know, he's, no bitterness, no hard feelings that he's not there, working for us, but he was glad to see that the wages were adjusted for that kind of work that they do.
Okay, thank you, sir,
All right, thank you.
and, keep up the good work.
Appreciate
I
it.
think 2022 was a great year for you.
Yeah, let's see how 2023
Well,
goes.
exactly.
It's not starting out very good.
We,
Oh, but I have to admit one thing, your gentleman at the hopper, very astute to what's going on in the hopper. And I was just, I mean, he's looking at everything that goes in there.
At some point down the road, it's a discussion for another day, is we're gonna have to, I mean, I know we got good numbers right now, but they're not always gonna be that good.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to look at another picture. There's a couple suggestions, nothing we need to talk about tonight, but in the back of our minds, we're gonna have to do something.
Leslie won't do it, no.
Yeah. All right,
Thank you, Woody.
Thank
Hey,
you.
remember now that you're gonna full staff, if you have any time you wanna use,
I've been taking,
okay,
my plans be off this Saturday, so.
okay, great, yeah. You got a full staff, so use it while they're all here and nobody leaves us.
We've been, actually getting a bunch of projects done. Oh, I don't have to tell you, the can crusher is in. There are some issues. The company is stepping up. Evidently, there was a box of hardware and parts that didn't get dropped off or never got shipped. I contacted her, and they're shipped out and they're headed to us.
Woody, before you leave, I have a couple of items that are in the, basement and up in the upstairs, of that library town hall.
Okay.
That I'd like to put in a container down there, so I'll get a hold of you one day, and maybe we can have a few hours, the employees too, can come up and carry
Wait,
this.
okay, yeah.
I wanna have it moved and kept, cause they're doors that match that building and trim that matches the building and fur, the old color, and I don't wanna dispose of it.
Right.
So I wanna store it someplace we can always get a hold of it.
We'll put it in,
back one of those containers.
well, we'll probably put it in the election one, and that
No, we
way-
have a container down.
Oh, you want it down there?
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
Okay.
I'll look at it and I'll, see, make sure there's room in there.
I say the election one, there's not many people go in and out of it besides us, we can always wrap the doors up and then stick them in the
We
corner.
can do that if you want to.
It's up to you guys, it's your container.
But there are a few things up there, I wanna get them out of the way.
Yep.
Before they disappear, and then,
The other quick thing was, the new snow blower for over there is here. I didn't know where it's gonna go.
Big,
It's 24 inches wide.
24 will fit right in that door for the basement, once all the workers are done in there.
Okay.
Why don't you keep it with you now?
Oh, yeah, we have.
Bring it up on your rack,
Yep.
and,
We want it, the door that goes to the basement, we wanna keep it just inside the landing as soon as.
there's a landing in there that goes in like 3 feet,
Okay.
and, we'll do that. Right now, we have some bags of the,
Yes, there's salt in there that Jeff brought me.
you know, and if need be, we'll put that down on the lower basement floor.
Yeah, but there's still some contractors going in and out,
Yeah, no, it's fine with us right
Okay.
now.
Okay,
All right,
good, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Woody.
Okay, then you talk about welfare budget now.
All right, this is pretty much a flat budget, you can see the actual that were updated today is pretty much what they had, allocated from prior year. Salvation Army, Dunbarton has come, Salvation and the Dunbarton Church have come through for us. We had one family that needed some, emergency housing, and we had to put them up in a hotel for several weeks. And both the Salvation Army and the church, contributed to that. So you can see that we only ended up, utilizing direct assistance, our own budget of $1,000 out of a $5,000 budget. Community Action is a, like Meals on Wheels and other services that they provide for Dunbarton residents. They have a amount that they ask us to budget for them every year, and that's staying the same, $23.50. The admin overseer welfare, that's the increase that the board reviewed, based and includes the 4%. And then I decided to create a new line for the deputy welfare director, because it's commingled with the welfare. I was just concerned that whoever's distributing the, payroll might find that one person is getting that total amount, so now we've separated them. Because the expense and the actual $64.17 is for both the welfare director and the deputy.
You just broke it out.
I broke them apart, yeah.
Okay,
And then we kept the direct assistance under, the same at 5,000, so there's an increase of $524.
I'm not happy with that. Gentlemen, any questions? All right, calendars next, Lee?
All right, so every year the board, reviews the meeting schedule for calendar for, 12 months over the year. And we choose, a reduced schedule during, slower business time for the selectmen. I need the information from you, because this will affect my numbers as to what I budget for the recording secretary, so,
October should be a split one as well, cause we went into
that was
October.
the question I was going to
I
ask
was
you.
gonna say, I didn't think,
October and November is split, then we come back to full in December.
No, just the opposite, we come back in November for that.
Well, you did, but our plan wasn't that way.
Well, we can discuss it.
Asked to come back early this year.
Okay, so,
Yeah, we had scheduled it to be half and half in November,
Right.
but you asked to come back early, I don't.
All
I
right,
think
well,
because of Thanksgiving week, it ends up being partial anyways, but.
Right.
Right.
but okay, let's,
Split up October.
If we-
well, first of all, let's figure out look at the B and A schedule, which one is, let's go for that first, make a decision on A and B schedule, then we'll go granularity down into it.
Anybody got anything planned, you or Justin?
I have 1 week at the last week of June that I'll be taking off, and right now, on B schedule, it's scheduled off.
I'll still on B, I'm in favor of that, just.
So, if you go to the B schedule for September, and you do the off, on, off, and carry it through October, it would actually take us to the off on November 2nd, and then we'd be back to regular schedule.
I think that's fine.
Do you wanna add the second off as well, or,
I'd do the second
Yeah.
off as
Yeah.
well.
and then we would return to the regular schedule?
That's fine.
Yeah, B's fine with me too. I don't know,
Okay.
cause I think I'm gone at the
So
end.
put it right through the 9th,
So it'll
or the 2nd.
The 5th of October will be no meeting, the 19th will be no meeting, and November 2nd will be no meeting.
Okay.
Then we go back to regular meetings for the 9th, the 16th, and then Thanksgiving holiday, obviously, and then the 30th.
Okay, the only thing I like to remind my fellow members of the board is that, we meet ad hoc if needed, any issue comes up during the summer.
Yeah.
At a hog.
Ad hoc.
So I just wanted you guys to make a decision, because one has fewer meetings versus the other.
I make a
So we're
proposal,
going with B?
I make a proposal, we go with B.
Wait, which one has fewer meetings?
A, but I'll be out
I'm
on
going for A.
Oh, man.
B it is.
I already been to 3 meetings this
Now I
week.
can prepare my budget for my recording secretary.
Okay, very good.
Alright.
Did you have a comment? I have a comment from the public.
No comment, a request.
Sure.
Can I get a copy of that?
Absolutely, yes.
You can have my copy.
Not the one you took.
You want A?
Well,
You want?
I'll miss them all.
I'll make a copy, but you will get a new copy, cause these,
Yeah, I don't need it right now, when everything's settled down,
and the
then
final
I'll get
official,
a copy.
yep.
Okay,
I'll get
Got a
you-
couple more months of steady weeks first.
yeah. All right, next item is, review of revenues for 2022. I think this is a close to final lane for revenues.
Yeah, there's still gonna be some calculating that I want to, explain to the board. For example, we had some changes from what we had proposed to the voters, but when we set the tax rate, some of them changed. One of the big ones is the meals and rooms. So we had originally proposed 135 is typically the regular year for that line.
Why am I looking at 215
Page.
here?
Yeah, that's prior year, so,
266 current budget year.
right, when I updated it with the 266, 662, that was based on the, information the DRA had given me. And the auditor had put a comment in the audit that I should be updating the projected revenues based on the adjustment at the tax rate setting. So there's a couple of these items I wanna point out.
Wait a second, you're losing me here.
Well, it's the rooms and meals, it says 0 right now. Because when I made an adjustment entry to include the new revenue,
I know, but current budget was never 26662.
it wasn't, but I had to do a special journal entry into the approved budget, and I had to report it that way.
I know, but you could have put that in a different line.
I followed the direction of the software, and the software
So what
eliminated
was our budget?
135. That's what I have been projecting every single year to keep it at that same level, because we've been coming in right around there, and then we get that extra.
So if we look at the
surplus.
town reading book, it'd be
It
135,000.
should be 135. And I'm not sure why it took it out of the current year period. It put, no, I did January through
So
December.
why do we have no revenues at all? We haven't gotten that check yet?
Oh, yeah, we did.
why
When we
did-
set the tax rate, it hit the bank.
That's what DRA used to calculate.
Why current year?
Oh, you know what? I don't know that I've entered it yet. You are correct, Dave. That's why my numbers are off.
All right, I'm gonna hold off on discussion.
Yes, I would like to go through this with a fine tooth comb, and I will also have the,
So why don't we just review this and not go through it? Right? On our own?
Mhm.
And we'll go through it another week.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and
for-
if you have
for-
questions, but I
And we can
will.
talk about it during the
See,
week.
I just got the town clerk to give me her December revenues, so
Yeah.
hers is up to date. I just merged a tax collector.
Where are hers, Lean? We may as well, I guess.
She's
we
on
can-
page 2, licenses, business licenses, so she's over from our projected budget of 675 to 813.
Oh, I hate these little pages.
I'm sorry, there's a lot of trees I'm killing this time of the year.
Kill the tree, it's better than killing me.
Maybe you need some better glasses.
Yeah.
So if I add that 266 to the bottom, I
Business
think it's
licenses.
Licenses, yeah.
266, now, thank you.
Where are you at here? I can't really see it.
It's the very top on the,
Yeah, the back.
page 2, license permits and fees, business licenses, total business
Am I
license.
supposed to be on here?
Business on right
Back
there.
page.
The back page of page 2, read it.
The other side, Dave, right there at
Right
the
there.
top.
Mine says sales deeds of property.
Yeah, you could flip the page. Then the packet.
This
Oh,
page,
is it stapled wrong?
I don't know.
it is, he's got.
Don't
he
put
messed
those
with
the
it, I
back
love it.
pages anymore.
It's page number 2, Dave, on the top right, it says page number 2.
Well, what is this?
I'm stapled wrong too, no wonder why I'm on this. Yeah, I got a page 3 on the front.
I'm good,
I'm looking at page 3 on the front too, I'm like, what are you guys talking about?
I'm good, thank you.
I'm like, mine's on the back. Mine's page 2 on the back.
Okay, page 2 on the back, gentlemen,
All right, now,
you get one.
All right,
so originally you guys jumped right to page 3.
correct.
We had it on the top of ours, so
Yeah.
geez.
Right.
All right, so,
I'm glad you pointed that out, Dave. Obviously, I still have some revenues to enter.
so
Okay.
page 2, prior year was 791,000.
Yep.
Current year is 813.
Correct, and we budgeted 675, so if I enter, which you pointed out, is not entered into the system uncollected, 266, that over on page 4 says we've collected 43,325. I think it hit the bank statement in December, so I'll have to do a journal entry to post the 266,622.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, you can.
Why on your balance uncollected is it showing a negative 138?
That's actually over.
Why is it in the negative mark?
That's the way the system, it's, so the current
So
year
that-
revenue,
So you know,
it's saying that we collected more than what was budgeted. We had projected 675, we collected 813,645, so we over collected
Yeah, so it shouldn't be
130.
in parentheses.
I
right?
know, that's the way the program works,
Okay.
and that's why I'm glad you pointed out that 266, I did not enter
just like
that,
the percent.
266 is not in there.
it's not in there yet,
Correct.
which
Are you
is,
sure you don't have all these percentages backwards like
no,
this?
it's,
Percent left is 55% on your first line item there, that should be in the payroll. You have 55% left to collect where the other one's in a positive.
trust
It's
me,
like it's 100% backwards.
Which page?
it is. The
On page
parentheses is
3.
in excess of the original projected budget.
Page 3, okay.
You look at 55.14, because she hasn't fitted this year current, so that should be actually in parentheses, because it's a negative,
Correct. Where's the one below? Look at the one below, income from departments. It's in
which
parentheses.
is over.
All right, it's over, right, okay, gotcha. It's back, it's okay.
It is over, and it's a parenthesis.
All right,
There are debits that show up in, parentheses, and then there's deposits that show up as.
Makes it so hard to
It
read.
really is, you have to really, that's why it's nice to have a quiet office when you're working on numbers.
You read it backwards.
I'm testing you.
I do.
See if
I'm
you're
trying to
paying
read it backwards.
attention.
okay, continuing on.
So there's no real reason to continue this on, because it shows us,
It's a kind of screwed
It's
up.
gonna go up 266.
Right,
yeah.
revenues.
And plus the 44 over.
All right,
Remember when you said we were gonna be scared? We're not so scared anymore.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, but this is the revenue side, you haven't seen the, projected operating budget.
timeline calendar next.
All right,
So, next week, we're gonna review not only revenues, but expenses too. We're gonna let another week go by to get,
clean
start coming in.
everything, because now all the budgets, I believe, have been
Complete.
reviewed except for mine, and anything that's cost related for the payroll, so I'll
Okay.
be working on those.
Exactly. All right,
I
now,
tried to put together a schedule of a timeline, so that I can stay on track with things that are required by RSA. And, this is based on the last attachment that I just gave you as well, the NHMA traditional March town meeting calendar for 2023. And this is, just helps me to keep things on schedule with what I need to post for notices, post for public hearings, keep in on time with the report going to the printer, and it's just information,
okay, when will we be having our first, top to bottom review of the budget?
next week,
Okay,
and,
okay,
I'll also have the warrants ready for you to look at.
Next week, you'd like to come to our budget hearing.
it's not a hearing, just a top to bottom review.
It's just to look at all the final numbers.
It's that where next week is where we put our heads together and say, yay, nay, we come up with a consensus of what we wanna present.
Cut, or leave this where it is.
Or plus,
I
it
know you want
depends.
to be in them.
But that's not the hearing, the hearing's gonna be later in the month, which is kind of on the way here, okay,
Yep.
fine, okay.
So you wanna keep that in your basket?
Yep.
Or keep it at home where you can refer to it?
Now, Donna has one, change that's gonna go on there,
Or
a zoning change.
she does? I
said zoning.
It's actually planning, because you
Planning
control
does
the
it, sorry, yeah,
zoning.
Planning.
She mentioned one thing
Yeah,
that she
we're
wants
having
to change.
we're having that at, is it the first week in?
It'll be a warrant.
No, it's actually, yeah, it will be.
Well, yeah, it's gonna be, but we're having the hearing, and I think it's the first.
Well, you already passed the last days to have your hearing.
According to this, Thursday, January 12th is the last day to hold a public hearing. Today is the 5th, we're good. When are you having it?
No.
No. I thought we were doing it the 18th.
And you had to have petitions in there before that, in November and December. If you read up.
Right, that's if somebody else petitions. This is not what, the planning board does not work with petition.
Last day to post,
In the
Public
paper, for
notice
the
was-
public hearing.
look
So
at,
that's 7 days.
Saturday, December 31st, 22, last day to post and publish notice for first hearing on proposed adoption of amended zoning ordinance.
I don't know if that was done.
I don't
I
remember.
just printed this off today.
So could you review that with Donna tomorrow?
That's a holiday.
I think you're not gonna be able to have it on the top.
But is it administrative,
Oh, Jesus.
or is it something that changes the zoning? Do you recall?
No, it's, workforce housing.
Yeah, that's what she said. I came in to meet with her because I made the selectmen's rep for the capital improvement program. So I did go in and meet with her, we scheduled a capital improvement meeting.
But we are changing our meeting. But she had all the dates, so hopefully she didn't have the dates messed up, I don't remember the exact dates, but we changed our meeting, cause we had nothing on the agenda.
I thought I'd asked
So we
her
adjusted
back
our
in
meeting.
November that if she was having any zoning warrants this year, and she said no, but.
Well, I think that this came up later than that, that's why.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's why I think that we missed that December 31st cutoff,
That
so.
sounds like a good deal.
Last day to post a public notice, I don't know if she's done that or not.
10 clear days before January 12th, it says right there in the RSA.
And you're gonna meet to the 18th?
It would have to be the 12th, if anything, but
Oh, it couldn't be the
I think
12th,
we
so you didn't post it 10 days before.
This is-
Right.
If you look at that last line, so.
and this is only 7 days between today and next Thursday.
So we
and
missed it.
It doesn't meet the 10-day minimum.
How critical is it? Well, the thing is, we're kinda like stuck.
No, you just put it on next year, so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible she did that and I wasn't informed, but. Do you have it in your calendar?
She would have to post it publicly, just to check that.
Yeah, but we adjusted our meeting,
Oh, that's capital improvements.
cause we have nothing on,
Capital improvements, yeah, I don't see anything that's,
we have nothing on the agenda, so we adjusted our regular meeting.
it's gotta be outside the building, but she does sometimes put it in here.
All right,
We'll have to
if that's a question we gotta follow up on.
I will
Agreed.
I will go over that with her
Okay.
as well.
Anything else on the calendar worth noting?
Okay,
Did we get any, warrants from the, or, no warrants, excuse me, from the public?
that, the deadline for that is on that colored sheet. That's the
It's
one I
2/7.
like. It's
2/7.
2
Last
days
day for
before
voters to
our
petition
public
themselves.
hearing,
Okay,
so it's January 7th?
February 7th.
So I typically I try not to have a public hearing before then, because if there's any monies involved, you have to hold a second public hearing.
gotcha.
So I purposely put in there, do not hold public hearing before the petition warrant article is due, which is Tuesday, February 7th.
Okay,
I'll go over that with Don tomorrow.
okay. The thing is, workforce housing, there's no proposals on the table right now, there's nothing critical on that. We can, if we wait till the.
No, but the, New Hampshire Municipal Association said that our workforce housing proposal isn't really keeping up with the times and dates, so she was having an amendment to that because, she wanted to
Make it a
update it so it was more,
Consistent.
available, because we don't wanna get caught in a situation where,
judge decides for us.
yeah, we don't have workforce housing that's, available.
You have the wrong date, this is 2/9, so we're only in January.
January,
What are you looking at?
last day to post public hearing,
Their timeline,
You could look at this one here that's printed by,
The state.
not this thing here, that's we did. You look at this thing right here.
you know,
This goes by the
That is a
RSA's,
nice-
Justin, this is just something the town.
Wednesday
well,
post
she
in the
did,
paper.
I just beat right.
Who did it?
RSA's that say that we have to post by a certain date. Oh, there's supposed to be that was supposed to be a 9. The 9th, and
Yeah, this says 2/9. We're only in June, right?
Yeah, this was
Alright.
supposed to be posted in December, Justin, with a public hearing
Right,
notice.
that's what I was looking at.
You have to post it 10 days prior to the meeting.
I'm only looking at what I have
Yeah.
to be responsible for. This is giving you the overall, what other things are, when other things are due, for example, there's the
The zoning,
town clerk is open, and accepts
okay,
let's see,
so we found one shortcoming.
so the.
Yeah,
this
cause
is here.
it's not really anything that Lean's worried about, it's not her end of it, so.
No, but I did, like I said, I asked her, I spoke to her about it a few weeks back, I know it's.
But the thing is, I'm not gonna,
I'm pretty sure she knows.
if it waits to next year's, but that's fine.
Yeah,
It is what it is, man.
Exactly.
Can't change it.
No.
but she may have already noticed it, I don't know if she did or not, I'll check
Okay.
with her. Draft
Okay.
warrant, we're gonna pass on.
Draft warrant, that was for the cemetery.
No, just in general, all of them, I
Oh.
think the board has to look at,
We don't have any warrants right now.
No.
no, but we have your, every year capital reserve.
We need to do that next month, you'll do those,
Next, I'll do it next week.
okay.
And
I'll
cap,
have just the draft, and you guys can adjust the numbers.
Yep.
You can say, no, we're not gonna do it this year, you can do whatever you want with it.
Okay.
But I've gotten the milfoil grant amount, I've gotten, basically all the departments are proposing the same, at least, deposit into the capital reserve.
understood.
So at least it'll give you some ideas of what we're looking at.
Yep.
You know, for the.
All right.
meeting.
Yeah, I have some ideas about those.
I did.
We've been, over the years, I think, with the fire department, it seems like he's been so generous cutting it back,
And what
cutting
we
it
do,
back.
what we do, like, if you remember, like, when we did the highway truck, we cut other departments down, we pushed some to the highway.
Right.
Then when Woody needed some, we pushed some towards him.
Yeah.
And now it's my thought that it's the fire department trying to get some
Yeah.
push. So
So,
first, I'm
I-
gonna have one more conversation with John.
I
because-
did get this December statement electronically sent to me, so I gave you the summary sheet. This does not show the deposits and the withdrawals and other things that would happen over the year. I did confirm that all the warrants that were approved on March have been deposited into this. This is just a December interest statement. But you can see the year end, for example, if you go down, halfway down, almost to the bottom, fire department, even though they bought that engine, we put in the 60,000 this year, so they were at 283, that is a current number.
It's not a cover number.
It is a current number.
Okay, good.
Yeah, all expenses have been deducted, so this is where he's at, even after we put in the 60,000.
Okay.
Transfer station has 37, I think you had brought up, a land purchase, if you go down to number 7 account, there is 47,471 in there. It's like 5 from the top, 1, 2, 3,
Got it.
4, 5.
47.
7 from the top.
Yeah, 47,000.
Lean, can you get me the paperwork on that land purchase capital reserve? When it was funded and how much?
Yeah.
If it was funded over more than 1 year,
Okay,
because that's one of my things I'm working with Don on capital
Okay.
reserve.
so you want the history when it was established?
Yeah, because I might go to the voters to get a minimal amount of money like that, in case the selectmen needed to do a deposit on a piece of property to bring it forward to town meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, we don't have the ability to do that. And I don't want any select board to have the ability to do an entire purchase without going to the voters.
What would be the purpose of so you can put it,
I'll give you an example,
Okay.
the 600 acres over here.
Right.
I mean, it was 600,000, 130 acres up here.
yeah,
The selectmen didn't have the ability to put even a deposit on there to hold the land until town meeting. In other words, so that had to be left open, so nobody else, all these other people have a chance to purchase it before the town, because the town didn't even have the, required deposit amount on that large piece of property if we wanted to purchase it.
is a deposit refundable?
Some cases are, it depends how it's written up, so you do non-refundable or refundable deposits.
So you want the selectmen to act as,
He wants to make sure we have enough money in the reserve, so we can put a deposit on it and then take it to the voters.
That's right,
but you also want it worded so that you have the authority to spend it.
the selectmen, that's all I want in the warrant article,
Right.
really.
Yeah.
Right,
So we might fund some of that
Mhm.
additional this year.
Yeah.
But I want a certain amount of money, up to like, say, 50,000, for the selectmen to have that ability to do. And the reason I don't want it to go by the RSA, which changes, so the selectmen have the authority, because when you go to the other RSA, the selectmen have the ability to buy, sell, trade, swap any piece of land.
Yeah.
And that's been brought up twice, I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
Especially being a 3 select board,
Mhm.
and it's been failed at the town twice, when they brought it to the voters.
But, geez, I don't know, can you put a dollar amount in that? I guess we'll have to check with the town attorney, because typically you have full control of that particular fund, that trust fund.
Well, if we can check that,
Yeah, you see the word.
because I see that it's, a trust fund,
Mhm.
and we might have control of it, but we probably can't spend that unless it goes to the town meeting.
That was the way we wanna have the authority to put a deposit when
That's
we
right.
see something.
That's right.
I just did the same thing for the fire chief, to change the status of town meeting vote to authorize the selectmen to expend the fire department capital reserve for the purpose of.
Right, and I'd like that to be brought up at town meeting as well, for him to do the fire department.
Right,
Get the
That's
Because
wording,
if he sees a deal, he wants to
Yeah,
jump on
then
it.
we can sign it.
I did get the wording for that, so.
It may be some very similar.
So it's very similar.
Yep,
Yep.
yep.
And I'll have to get up and explain it, and I did talk with Donna.
You know, if our capital reserve, if our rainy day fund, is up high, we could actually move money instead of putting it, plus and add more than we have to, put it in some of these funds.
Yeah, or we could do
At the,
it as
with the
a,
voters'
yeah,
concurrence.
yeah, or we could do it as a, you know, a warrant article like the rest of
Well,
it.
as I'm saying, a warrant article, to add more dollars to it, and then where would this money come from, extra surplus?
Mhm.
Okay, good.
So just thinking outside the box, cause there's some things coming up here local that we should at least have the ability to try and act on.
And that's the thing, your hands are tied until March, so if it happens in June, there's nothing you can do unless you have a.
It could be a full year away if something goes for sale.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
right after the town
Let's
meeting.
say, in a scenario, a beautiful piece of property close to the center opens up, and we can put a deposit on it, but we have to go have a special meeting, town meeting,
I don't think that's, qualifies as a special town meeting.
then
It
we're
has
stuck to
be-
the following year.
You are.
Yeah, so you're stuck to the following year, but you put a deposit, like, say if you were selling a piece here.
Right.
And you said, and you could get a $50,000 deposit, that might be enough for you to wait till town meeting if you got the $50,000 deposit this year, to consider the town.
Right, but the thing is, if I was, just a person wanna leave town, I'm trying to sell my property, it has like, say, 30 acres with a house on it, but I'm selling the whole enchilada, town wants to buy it, well, I have 3 other people knocking on the door to buy it. Why should I wait for the town to buy it?
Right, unless you wanna be nice to the town, which
Okay,
doesn't sound
Yeah,
like
it's
you
a-
want.
I think it has to be a certain scenario, like someone has to want to,
It doesn't
sell it
sound
to the
like you're
town,
gonna wanna do that.
cause you have to, yeah.
Okay, no.
You have to want it,
Okay.
cause you have to wanna wait, you know?
So I'll
Right.
let that.
He's the type
This-
of newcomer.
Because we've kind of gone through the standards and we're gonna have some regular repeat warrants. The ones that are critical like this, I will ask for language from the town attorney before next
Yeah.
Thursday, because we're coming down to the wire.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't have time
let's
to get into-
get the town attorney on that.
What you could do, highlight that CIP that's already in place.
Yep, yep.
Tell them that the town selectmen would like to,
Modif-
without, and tell them I wanna make sure we're not adopting that entire RSA, where it gives the selectmen authority to buy, sell,
Purchase.
trade, swap like we tried.
Right, and so you have to rename the trust and appoint someone as the authorized, person.
Just
like-
what the selectmen should do.
Select board.
Yeah. And so that I just asked him to give me the language for John's, so I could get that on there, and that's exactly how he worded it. And then the expendable trust, the cemeteries have been appointed as the.
Because I wanna keep it so that the selectmen have some ability
To
to
put
simplify,
a deposit
but
down.
not make the choice for the entire town. on the
Right,
entire
right,
town.
but it allows us to compete.
Right,
And that's the purpose of withdrawing that partial money, is just to hold the property, allow them.
Right.
To tell, hopefully we're serious, and, geez, I
and
don't
it
know.
may take a purchaser, you know, that amount of money, that deposit would give them enough time to hold off until the next town meeting.
I think the last time we talked about this though, wasn't it something that if we gave them deposit, the deposit would be non-refundable?
That's the issue, the thing is,
I think that's what-
that's the issue, the thing is, we have to have a refund, it has to be refundable. How can we sit here as a board, and commit 50, say we put $40,000 down, and then the voters go, sorry, we're not gonna approve it, we just lost $40,000 to the
And
town.
then the
But you know-
seller is just lost the opportunity to
You're
sell.
also, Mike,
Right.
it's a, you know, when you do a real estate deal, it's a chance you take, but it's either a big win for the town or a big loss for town. And $40,000, even to me, is not a big loss for town if they're losing the chance to get a piece of property right here close to the center of town.
Okay.
That's a choice of the voters, though.
The vote, if they wanna give us the
Because we
authority,
have to give the courtesy to the voters to make that choice.
or to allow us to make that decision,
Correct.
if they wanna.
Well, that's why you do a warrant.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
they're gonna understand that we're gonna lose the 40,000, if that's what
Not
it is.
all the time, you
No,
don't
not all
always
the
lose
time,
it.
but
They're
there is a
refundable or
chance.
non-refundable, depending on the person that's selling.
Right.
If they're willing to accept it. Mike's not.
All right, thank you. So noted, Lean, if you would get that language, we can review it.
I will,
All right, mailbox items now. Let's look at some mailbox.
I'm gonna get you to gift your house before I'm done.
Hey, it doesn't come on the hot tub anymore, it's gone.
Oh, you didn't fix that?
No, it is, I'll tell you afterwards where it's at. It's not on property, well, not on location any longer. Lean, I don't have, do I have a folder for, mailbox? What item?
no, there were a few items there, it's all.
If you read down here, it's like sense.
Okay,
Just the memo.
Did you lose it again?
I have no
Was it in
folder.
the black abyss?
No, Black Abyss was not open today. I have, that's something different.
Later.
You got the memo, look at your black.
It's a
And it
memo.
hasn't opened. I didn't open that.
Right there.
So, that's all.
That's
Okay.
it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, memo for, Lean put out a memo, if you saw your email this week, the annual report deadline. I'm gonna stop working on our annual report, or a letter to the, I'll start working on a draft, I'll get it out to you guys, within the next 2 weeks.
Yep.
But she doesn't want it till the last minute for the,
Don't do it too fast, Mike.
no, I don't.
Make me look bad.
When did you
You
get
don't wanna be
it?
the first one.
Couple days before.
A couple days before the.
Oh, no,
Before
he was
printing.
late, I was scrambling to get about 3 people on the list that
Very
had
true.
submitted.
All right, I'll delay that by a week at least, maybe 2 weeks. All right, continue on, we have a, work order change for lights. Lean, I think you took care of that for us?
Okay, because this is a Department of Labor.
Exit lights.
Right, there were 2 emergency lightings that were worked and didn't work. The Department of Labor did test one, it did not work, and then, John tried to say that when they lose power, they both turn on, but that wasn't good enough for the Department of Labor. Jeff offered his, which are only 3 or 4 years old, to install them over there, and in order for the Irish Electric to do that, it was a minimum, surcharge, it just charged us the hours that it took, and then when they got to the last building, the library, there was 1 hour or something that they had to spend that was over and above.
And Jeff didn't need the signs, is that what?
No, they're just the emergency lights, we had all the emergency lights replaced with lit exit signs,
Yeah?
but in the fire
Oh, so
department
they needed
bay,
the emergency.
they had emergency lights in the middle of the walls that weren't working properly, so they took care of those.
Okay.
So, they've gotten those taken care of.
Okay,
And I did forward, some of the pictures to the Department of Labor, they've asked that we send all the pictures, so I've asked,
they want it in one bunch.
they just want they want to see a visual picture that we have complied with the deficiencies that they expected, so everyone's scrambling to get the pictures.
Take pictures of all the exit devices.
Yeah, that's what we're working on.
Okay, next item. The grant master of the town,
Yep,
Chief Remenard, is pleased to announce that we're gonna receive $12,100 grant from the Department of Justice called 2023 grants for local law enforcement. He applied for this grant in 2022, no local match requirement, so it's pure cash. The grant will allow us to purchase new blade tasers and replace obsolete units, some ballistic shields, and we don't have any ballistic shields, and, so this will be a welcome addition to his tactical equipment department, increase officer safety, so it's a win-win. And so, kudos to him again, you're the lead, pass it on to, he's our grant master.
Okay, very good.
Okay, Pro Technology, we have some fees came in today, Dave.
Yeah.
Annual elevator monitoring with video back, the annual fee is $336, $28 per month.
Very reasonable.
mm-hmm.
And, well while we're on Pro Technologies, Lean, I would like to make sure that, in your department, you have a line item for all the Pro Technologies.
That's been coming out of the building and maintenance.
Yeah, can you put it under yours, yeah, just so it's a little cleaner, cause
Yep.
it makes it so hard for you to follow that, building maintenance fund for us, when you have all these little bills coming out of it at the end of the year.
All right, move monitoring for all
Yeah,
buildings
put 'em
into a
under yours.
different line, okay.
It's probably a couple $1,000s for all the buildings, it's
Yeah,
not
it's
big
not a
money,
lot,
but.
it's not a lot, yeah.
Okay, we have a notice from, Bridge Aid of, for $47,000, we did that last time. But is there an update to that one?
Now, is that in your basket still?
It's not, it was, should be, that was last week.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't take those off,
And,
I'm
it's the sick,
sorry.
there,
Scratch those out,
those are
5 and
last
6
week.
from last
last
week.
week, thank you, hey, I do remember. Okay,
Boom, boom.
public comment. Thank you for being here.
I'm gonna be-
There you go. All right, Lean, I'm gonna bring it back to the board to you. Anything for us?
I just hope the board understands that it's been a busy year for me with the new wages, making sure that everything is working, and then all the added, little items that come in between, and doing my best. It's been, the department's supervisors have been really supportive and working with me as well, so, it's been really busy, but we're getting through it, and I think it's gonna be okay once we get, to the end of
I
this.
feel like we're caught up fairly well.
I think so as well, it just, sometimes I feel bad that some of my numbers aren't accurate to the 100%.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you're scrambling like an hour before, some of the numbers just came in the last couple of days or so.
Or just tonight.
Yeah, so don't worry about it.
Like, again, it's easy for me to pick them out, cause I'm staring at one number, crossing it, but again, you guys are staring at them all the
And,
time.
I have to give credit to you, Lean, you know, the thing is, working with Woody, another manager in town.
Yeah.
You two have been working as a team,
Yeah.
professionally to get it done, so kudos to you two.
And part of our job is to check numbers, so.
Yeah,
for the town, so.
absolutely, yeah, I don't, and that's why, anything that involves numbers like the wage increases, I've had one person review them already, and next Monday, before we implement them in the computer, because this will be the first, payroll that it affects, I'll have a second person review them, so that everyone is, feels confident, and I've already had police department review theirs, so I think it's working, just takes a little bit more time.
Okay. That's enough, I'm gonna bring it back to the board now, we're gonna go to non-public, and one quick subject to non-public, Dave, anything for the group?
Just quick, there was some tile in the first floor. Chicoine did not like how it was installed. We had the company come back this week and chisel it all up, and they redid it.
Wow.
So it's all
Nice.
redid, the layout changed a little bit, he didn't like how it went around some of the doorways. So, he made him chisel it all out
Express a thank you to him from us.
and redo it all, and, they finished up all the woodwork in there, and I believe by tomorrow, they're gonna hang all the balance of the doors, except for the front doors, they're gonna leave them for the painter to put one more coat on them before they hang them.
Okay.
So, we might end up having a soft opening on that before,
Because the downstairs can be opened up and used.
yes, until that, the hard wiring is in the elevator, we probably won't open the second floor, but we'll have a soft opening so Mary can start using the entryway.
I think that's a wise move.
And I'll keep the board updated when I think, that can happen, and we'll,
We're almost there,
yeah.
at least for the lower half.
Yeah.
The Mary will be
Believe me, the upper half's all done, it's just the panel down in the basement.
It's backward.
Yes, and that, they're shipping it from the factory on the 18th, so I don't think we'll see it till the week after that. For the winter.
I said 1 April.
You might
Meeting by
might
meeting.
make it, it's still early in January, so.
Oh, one other quick thing, Lean. Not last meeting, but a meeting before, I asked you to email John and also,
Dennis Myers about the ice. I read it in the minutes. It's like,
Okay, it's in the, it was in the overflow pipe,
yeah,
and now it's gone, of course, it melted out with this warm weather. But I want it on record that we email them,
okay,
and do it back on the date of our meeting and say, on this date, we saw, the reason it's by the front door, so you can see if
did
there's
you
water coming
mention
out.
the date in there? Because,
I didn't, but it was that week,
It was in the week, in the
okay,
minutes.
it was the week before the 22nd,
it was on that week, like if I came in Thursday, I saw it on Monday.
okay,
It's
you can put that date in there, I want them to be on notice in case there becomes an issue with it.
That's an engineering flaw, it could be.
It could be in the Dennis Myers engineering plan.
Overflow, and, so this was Thursday, the 22nd, you seemed like it happened,
On that Monday or Tuesday. I
Overflow was iced over, was not
Pulled
draining
that
at
week
all.
before.
The
Oh, okay.
overflow had ice halfway up in the pipe. And I'm just wondering how it got in there, I don't know if
okay.
snow melted directly above it or something, but
It was a cold week though, too.
it was, we're gonna
But
have a
still,
lot of.
we're not done with the winter yet.
No, and not every winter from here on out, so I wanna put it on record that, it was noticed.
Yeah, okay,
If an issue comes up 2 years from now,
I'll
we
get
can
that
have
to him
some,
tomorrow.
an email to trace it, thank you.
Justin, anything else, Dave? No. Justin?
The only thing I wanted to follow up on, did anybody talk to Irish when he was here about the panel at the fire department?
I did talk with him, extremely lengthy this week. I talked with George Lucas, which was doing all the directing of their whole company, because the owner's out. I talked about his crew doing the exit devices here,
Yeah.
and I actually met them, and he's actually coming. He came today to go in there and finish wiring up the phone lines, I think, to go up to the elevator.
Right.
The elevator company was supposed to come and move the elevator for him so you get above it. And tomorrow he's starting on the lighting on the second floor up there, and I wanted him to get that project kind of wrapped up before.
I've got some good helpers.
Yeah, and then he's
Very
going to,
good.
that exit guy was real nice, wasn't he?
Yeah, I just didn't know if he could at least get us a price and see.
I'll have
Should
him.
we look up the quote from the other guy just to see what he was actually doing?
Yeah.
What I
I
would like to,
can do that.
what I'd like to do, Lean, is, block the pricing out on the
Yeah,
other
that's
quote.
what I've done, that's what I did with the,
Send it to his office looking for an estimate on it. And if George needs to meet me over there, I can
Show them, yeah.
show him. the-
Okay.
and that's for the fire department, one that we had quoted and were encumbering, but he's not
I suppose he
responsible.
already was encumbered from last year.
Yeah,
Right.
Which I don't wanna obviously show the number of it, because I think it might.
No,
be-
that might just take.
Could be up to $1,000 cheaper.
Right.
depending.
Who knows, and a year later now.
Yeah, but the thing is, you never know.
Yeah,
Here's
you
the
never
difficult-
know.
Okay. Anything else?
So,
All right, I'm gonna make a motion, we go non-public for RSA 91 alpha, Roman number 3, subparagraph, Roman number 2, subparagraph C.